lapse from the statute of limitations. So, but on the lawfare thing, because this is important, we didn't get to this at all today. What is more likely, that Donald Trump went almost 80 years of his life never once having a criminal indictment because he's a guy who...
He was president. Things changed.
Well, I mean, all of a sudden, he's never committed a felony, and then
he becomes president, and the circumstances are the same.
No, well, they were going after things that were long before he was president. But okay, fine. If you don't like that argument, there's one other argument. They held all of these charges until the election. It is clear manipulation.
In a tense back and forth on real time, Laura Coates shared what she believes is the Democrats' main strategy: turning the legal system into a weapon against political enemies, especially Donald Trump. She didn't hold back, claiming Trump's indictments were timed to match the 2024 election, calling it a clear case of lawfare. Bill disagreed and brushed off the idea, calling it a paranoid excuse to avoid facing Trump's real legal problems. But some courts pushed back, raising concerns about whether the public can trust a justice system that might be influenced by politics. This heated debate brings up a serious question. Is the justice system being used for political power, or is that just a theory to defend Trump's actions? Let's break it down.
All the indictments, until the election year.
All of the charges except the dressing room rape
Which they extended the statute of limitations, and then she was funded. The whole thing was a hit.
All the other ones have to do with he was in office.
Right.
He was the president. He asked
not
for
the civil trial for Trump. There was the civil thing with the Trump Foundation. There are so many that it's hard to know what we're talking about.
The investigations dealt with factual allegations that surrounded his term in office and beyond. Yes, there is a reason he was never investigated for having interfered with the presidential election, because he wasn't running.
You also can't have it both ways, because when the House moves to impeach Trump on January 13th, the cry from the right is, where's the due process? Why are you moving so fast? What's the deal? But then when Merrick Garland chooses to take his time and be deliberate in bringing these indictments, Republicans are saying, oh, you're dragging your feet now to wait until it's election season. So which is it?
I hope you do sports betting or something, because the idea...
One side of the debate focuses on the risk of legal actions. Looking politically motivated, especially when high-profile figures are charged during election season. If people start to believe the justice system is being used to sway elections, or target certain candidates, it can seriously damage trust in its fairness. A system seen as too close to politics could lose its credibility, making people question whether justice is truly equal. At the same time, May points out something just as important: no one is above the law. Democracy only works if justice applies to everyone, no matter their power or position. If serious charges against influential people are ignored or delayed, just to avoid political drama, it might send the message that the elite play by their own rules. That's also dangerous. It feeds public frustration and the belief that some are untouchable. At this moment in the debate, Coates appears to be on the defensive, struggling to push back against Maher's points. Let's keep watching to see what she says next.
That a number of these different cases, all of these charges involve conduct that was all of them. There's all these 4 different criminal cases, at least 4 years ago. You're going to tell me that all this had to wait until the election year to bring the charges? You're going to tell me that Jack Smith, for those who don't know, was moving at lightning speed with the help of Judge Chutkan in D.C. They were moving, ask any federal prosecutor, ask anybody who has actually looked at how long. I'm just talking about timelines, by the way. The whole thing was meant to kneecap him before he could actually get to election day, and it was meant to destroy him for political reasons in an election year.
And yet it's only helped him.
It is the biggest own goal the Democrats have ever had in their lives.
Buck, let's ask a federal prosecutor. One's here. One of the reasons why this was delayed, in part, was not simply a matter of proactive or affirmative motions by the prosecution. There was a defense team in multiple different jurisdictions who were filing motions to then delay and ask for delays and delay after delay. If the calendar had been such that what the prosecution alone wanted, you would have had earlier resolution, at least in the form of trial, not necessarily a conviction, but he's filed motions to defend himself, and that has also delayed the calendar.
I don't know.
In this 4-person panel, Laura Coates ends up taking most of the heat. Her points don't calm things down. In fact, they seem to fire up Buck Sexton even more, and he's clearly ready to jump in. Can Coates stay strong under pressure? The debate is heating up fast. If you're enjoying the conversation, make sure to like and subscribe for more sharp, engaging discussions. Stay tuned.
Hold on. There are 4 different criminal proceedings against Donald Trump, okay? 4 of them.
Yeah.
And
he has defended himself.
there's New York, there's D.C., there's Atlanta, there's Florida. Florida's been tossed out, by the way, so that's what a great case that was. These were all
a real Trumper of a judge.
but you can't have it both ways. I mean, Judge Schumer clearly hates Trump and was sending January 6th, some of them nonviolent detainees, into the prison system for like 18 months.
Can I ask you a more philosophical question?
Sure.
Because there are people who are watching this who, I know people, because I live in Los Angeles and Hollywood and all that, and they will say, why are you even talking to him? And I have no patience for people like this. They can kiss my ass. I will talk to you all day. First of all, half the country agrees with you. Are they all going to self-deport if one of the people,
honestly, first of all, thank you for that. And I just would add to it, the people who are saying that he's Hitler and the country's going to end, it's not true. It's going to be okay. He's already been president. If he becomes president again, you'll probably have a Democrat who comes around in 4 years. It's not the end of the republic. Let's start placing bets.
It could.
You want to start? You know what I mean?
It could
play some money on this one. I know you got a bankroll, buddy. We can start. You know what I mean? I hear stories.
I do. That's my Mets. Okay. First of all, he could. Absolutely. He's too erratic. There's just no way you can say he's not going to do this or not going to do that. But
he's not going to destroy the country.
He's
going to do a great job, actually, but you don't agree with me on that.
What's your definition of destroying the country? Is sabotaging the peaceful transition of power the hallmark of American democracy? Is sabotaging that?
Laura Coates argues that the protests and unrest tied to the Black Lives Matter movement, which happened the summer before the election, may have added pressure to the voting process. She believes the intense atmosphere and division may have affected how some people felt, possibly influencing or even intimidating voters. In her view, this environment could have shaped public opinion and even impacted the election results. But Buck Sexton strongly disagrees. He says protests and social movements don't weaken the fairness of elections. While emotions may run high during political or social unrest, he argues the voting process must stay neutral, secure, and untouched by outside events. This clash of ideas brings up a bigger question. Can large social movements shake people's faith in the voting system? And should we factor in social tensions when judging the integrity of an election? That leads us to the core issue. How do we protect democracy from outside pressure while keeping elections fair and open? Share your thoughts in the comments. At the same time, May points out something just as important. No one is above the law. Democracy only works if justice applies to everyone, no matter their power or position. If serious charges against influential people are ignored or delayed, just to avoid political drama, it might send the message that the elite play by their own rules. That's also dangerous. It feeds public frustration and the belief that some are untouchable. At this moment in the debate, Coates appears to be on the defensive, struggling to push back against Maher's points. Let's keep watching to see what